It's here. Remember Update V55, the update that caused borderline schizophrenia in the Quest community with its array of different fixes, new issues, old issues, from air link cutouts, display artifacting to worse menu layouts? No? Doesn't matter. Update V56 is here, so we have new mental illnesses to deal with. The update got rolled out to the public test channel a couple of weeks ago and is now finally rolling out to everyone over the course of the next few weeks, whether you want it or not. So today I'm going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly regarding Update V56, as well as the Quest 3 finally getting a full reveal date and a new video showing off the headset, as well as Echo VR now being completely obliterated by Stinky Winky himself, along with the absolute cluster frick that's happened over the last couple of weeks. I have to say frick because YouTube age restricted the previous video for no reason, only to revert the age restriction after I complained to them, which nuked the video's initial performance. I've lost a countless amount of money. I can't afford to feed my dog Charles or pay for my legal fees surrounding my separation from your mother, so I'd like it would go a long way in stopping myself from hanging myself from a wind turbine. Also join my Discord over at discord.gg/GetHip to scream at me directly, also because I have literally no friends and I'm sick of being sat in general alone streaming Spider-Man. So what's happening with Update V56? First, what's actually changed? Well, Ryan Allady, one of the community managers from the Meta forums, posted the change log for Update V56. The noted changes include the ability to live stream to Facebook straight from the Quest 2, so you can share your VR chat sleeping room parties with your grandmother. This feature, however, is noted as an experiment and it won't be available to everyone. Who is it available to? I don't know, because why would Meta give us useful information like who is and isn't able to access an advertised new feature? Sounds a little too logical to me. If you've completely lost your hearing due to Gorilla Tag squeakers, you can now use closed captions. You can now finally customize your controller button mapping by going to accessibility and settings and selecting mobility, and then you can remap the controllers. It's insane that this is a feature we've had to wait for. I mean, can you imagine any AAA game releasing in today's age for PC that doesn't let you remap keys? Sure, this is slightly different, but it's still ridiculous to me that we've had to wait this long for what is a basic feature like button remapping, but better late than never. Am I right? Please come home, Dad. Speaking of holy shit, I can't believe that wasn't already a feature. What the fuck has this incompetent company been doing all this time? New features. Meta is finally adding the ability to update the headset while it's powered off and charging. I cannot fucking believe that this headset didn't already do this, but it explains why I've been late to so many updates. You can also now invite people to apps from your followers list. I also mentioned this in the previous video when Update V56 went to the public test channel, but in case you missed it because YouTube nuked the video or have just never seen my stupid fucking face before, they added swipe typing, similar to what you'd get on a smartphone, and you can enable this in the experimental settings tab. Notifications have been improved. They say that now you can complete more actions from notifications by selecting the ... button, and multiple notifications from the same source will now be grouped together for easier management. Thanks, Dad. They've improved the low battery warning, something that used to almost crash games that I was in when the notification would pop up. This was particularly annoying in games like Beat Saber, as the notifications would commonly cause your game to freeze and then you'd miss a note. How they've improved this, I do not know. I do not have the update yet. They didn't really give us any more information besides this vague explanation that in some form or another it has been improved. Thanks, Dad. But by far the biggest change in this update is hand tracking 2.2. This is where it's actually at. This is why this update is here to begin with. This is a huge improvement to hand tracking. This video demonstrates the changes pretty damn well. You can see that the hand tracking no longer seems to cut out as frequently, as Meta's new fast motion mode allows for faster tracking of hand movements. Meta are claiming about a 40% latency reduction in typical usage and up to a 75% latency reduction during fast movement. This will obviously be down to us to properly test, but from the experiences I've read from other users and the videos I've seen posted so far, this does seem to be a pretty major leap into making hand tracking genuinely viable to purposes outside of just janky mini games and scrolling through menus before you've had time to put your controllers on. Along with this update, Meta made a Beat Saber ripoff rhythm game to show off these new improvements. I do actually appreciate Meta's quick development of new demos when introducing new features like this. It's not something that they have to do, and they've done a pretty great job at this in the past, and I hope they continue to do this when they release new features like this, especially when very few games make use of a lot of these new features that Meta actually adds. In other news, Meta has introduced new anti-piracy measures, including hardware-based app bans. From my understanding, reading through these changes, it seems that developers, including Meta themselves, will now be able to essentially nuke a specific headset if it's been detected as having been tampered with. The Platform Integrity Attestation API detects whether an app server is interacting with a tampered or untampered VR device. So naturally, I'd assume if this feature becomes widely used, you may end up seeing headsets that were banned because of how they were used in the past start showing up for sale on sites like eBay. So yet another problem for you guys that want to purchase a headset secondhand. You'll now be gambling with the possibility that the headset may have been hardware banned by either Meta themselves or on certain applications by certain developers, further pushing players into just buying directly from Meta themselves. The official line from Meta explaining what this is according to them, it will be a way way to protect VR apps from unauthorized modifications and potential security breaches. And as we all know full well, introducing further restrictions funded by multi-billion-dollar companies under the guise of protection and safety has never resulted in the loss of any individual freedom, because that would be, ridiculous. I mean, it's called the Platform Integrity Attestation API, and it will include things like a secure device authentication, hardware-based app bans, protection of financial and enterprise app data, prevention of external data misuse, and other anti-piracy measures. Why should you care? Well, obviously this may have an undesirable impact on modding communities. For example, Beat Saber running mods may end up running afoul of the new token system at the core of the attestation API. I'd suggest reading the full article from Road to VR if you have any idea what the they're talking about, because I don't, because I'm low IQ. But I think if this does end up negatively affecting the Beat Saber modding scene, it may be the final straw for like a lot of users running mods, as Beat Saber's frequent updates continually break mods, and it's hard enough to play consistently with working mods as is right now. In fact, I stopped playing Beat Saber entirely about a year ago because almost every time I hop on after a break, all of my mods are gone. It's a headache, and honestly the game just isn't fun enough to me without the ability to access custom songs and custom modes. Tell me if you're concerned about these new anti-piracy measures down below. For those of you with more than my grand total of like 4 IQ may be able to put together a cohesive take. Do you think this is a needed addition or another way for Meta to just restrict users? Meta has announced through this new short video on Twitter that the Meta Quest 3 will be at Meta Connect on September 27th. We already knew that the Quest 3 was going to be at Meta Connect. We just didn't know that it was going to be September 27th. This is likely also going to be the date that the headset will go up for pre-order as well, just like with previous headsets that have been revealed at Meta Connect in the past. The short little video that they included also allows you to get a nice close-up of the headset along with its new cameras, and you can also very clearly see what sort of materials it's made up of. Quite clearly some of the same materials that the Quest 2 was. Echo VR is now fully dead, as the Meta gods have now completely shut the servers down. I honestly don't want to spend much time talking about this because it hurts to even think about, but yeah, you now get faced with this screen when you try to log into the game. The Quest Pro may be dead. Long live the Quest Pro. As in over the last few weeks, rumors surrounding the potential halt of production after some of the worst VR headset sales of all time may soon be in effect, as Meta has reportedly stopped ordering new components for the Quest Pro from its suppliers, and a report from The Information alleges that the entire Quest Pro line has been suspended, along with a second generation Quest Pro being put completely out of the question. However, Andrew Bosworth has rebuked the claim that the Quest Pro 2 has been cancelled, stating that his team is developing multiple prototype headsets in parallel. So it's quite common for some headsets to be put out of production because they're not working for whatever they're working towards, and others to continue with their production. But what we do know is that this headset has clearly put a temporary pin in Meta's work-focused VR efforts, and has instead very clearly highlighted to Zuckerberg and his team that gaming is still VR's bread and butter for the time being. And you can see this in full effect with the reveal of the Quest 3 and the focus on gaming. The Quest 2 spatial audio is getting some pretty major improvements. A new head-related transfer function, also known as Universal HRTF, enables a more precise localization of sound sources and affects the sound itself. Meta actually tested out this new HRTF model on 100 test participants, and it allegedly outperformed their old model, improving by an average of 81%. Personally, I feel that the spatial audio on the Quest 2 is pretty good as is. The primary issue is just the actual audio quality of the speakers, and I hope that this new spatial audio system doesn't go to waste because Meta can't just make a pair of like actually good speakers. We'll have to see if there's an improvement on the Quest 3, otherwise this feature may end up being largely wasted on speakers. And by far the biggest update coming to the Quest 2 this year is Rec Room is finally adding Barbie outfits. Now, something I've wanted to show off for a while now that I discovered back in May thanks to Lines on Twitter is this piece of software called Reality Mixer. It basically allows you to attach trackers to objects in your play space and then use your headset's pass-through to show them in your game world. It's fucking sick, and a glimpse into something that will likely be able to be done without the need of trackers in the next few years. Reality Mixer is about $5 on Steam and is in early access, and this works for the Valve Index, HP Reverb 2, all of the first-gen Windows mixed reality headsets, the HTC Vive and the HTC Vive Pro. Especially with Meta's mixed reality push, this is something that I would expect to see on platforms like the Quest 3 eventually. I just hope that if that day comes, Meta actually, pay and credit the original developers. So besides Meta Connect happening in September, until then, we're kind of just treading water in the VR space for the time being, not a whole lot is happening. Some cool new games got a release, but nothing with any clear staying power as the future of the Quest 2 in the shadow of the Quest 3. Its future is a little uncertain. VR viewership is at an all-time low, at least, you know, post the heights of the Quest 2 launch. So for those of you who still stick around for these videos and support my content, I love you all. I appreciate you all very, very deeply, and I promise that I won't leave you or your mother's DMs.
You don't gotta talk, nah, you just gotta dance.